welcome back, everybody. It's Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, of course, on Passage to Profit. And one of our favorite people, Lisa Ascolese, the Inventress, is here with us in the studio tonight. Lisa, welcome, and thanks for joining us. All right.
Thank you for having me once again. I always enjoy this. I get the biggest kick out of both of you, first and foremost.
Yeah,
should have their own.
You
should have your own show.
Yeah. So she tells me I'm funny. I don't even know. But Lisa, why don't you tell our listening audience what exactly you do? Because there may be people that don't know who you are.
Sure, I'll start from the beginning. So my name is Lisa Ascolese, known as the Inventress. I help people take their products and ideas from concept to fruition the right way. Because you know, there's a right way and there's a wrong way of doing things. So I've been inventing products since I'm 9 years old, long time ago, and just walking people through the entire process. I have many patents and trademarks of my own, but I do all of the in-betweens as well. And many people don't know there are in-betweens. It's not just develop a product and put it on the shelf. They like to believe that, but they're all of the intricacies and details, you know, such as creating prototypes, getting patents done, getting manufacturing in place, getting sourcing in place, shipping, and all of those details that people mentally leave out. You know, many people just want to invent something and put it on the shelf and become millionaires. And you can't become that way.
You let me take a look at your proprietary list that you give to your clients one time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like 5 pages long, and you lead them through every step, right? So
all their steps.
Yeah. So, but I promised you I would not copy it or tell anybody what's on it, because
it's a trade secret.
It's a trade secret.
It is a trade secret.
Yeah.
It is a trade secret. But everybody has to know it. So eventually when they come to me for a consultation, which they can, my website is inventingatoz.com. You can email me info@inventingatoz.com. And I literally take you through all of the steps of product development the right way. And of course, I team up with Elizabeth and Richard when it's time for you to get your patent and all of those things. You go right to them. They're amazing. But this is what I do. So this is what I do. And I know you're talking about shipping and sourcing. These are some of the questions you had. But I'll let you ask the questions. How about that?
Can I ask a question? So how has COVID affected the whole consumer product chain manufacturing? Has it made a big difference?
It has, especially recently. You know, in the beginning of COVID, many people were home, working from home and having extra money to develop products and just be creative, be their creative selves. And that part of the beginning of COVID was fantastic for many people. Unfortunate, but monetarily, entrepreneurship was great for many. So then we get to the sourcing and the shipping part. So let me explain what sourcing is. Sourcing is when you look for a manufacturer, an engineer to actually develop your product. So that was moving okay in the beginning. Then, you know, once we got on lockdown, some of the production, including prototyping, paused. We ramped back up again. All right. Everybody went back to business. Many manufacturers reopened. Now we're manufacturing like crazy. Then shipping came to a halt in some instances. And that's freight, that's shipping, that's freight. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. So when it comes to shipping merchandise, we have to be very, very creative, especially in this job today. So I have a couple of people who are ready to ship. Some are on the water. Some we sent by air, had to send by air because it was just impossible to send by freight because it would have just taken too long. And it's very expensive.
I was just going to say, I know of clients who've had their shipments sitting in customs for weeks and they couldn't get the packages and the product out. Right. So
correct.
Very disruptive.
Yeah. One of your clients, actually, Kevin Lane, who made Create a Castle, which is a wildly popular product. You have a meeting every Monday called Motivational Monday, and he's always there and I'm always there. And we were talking about this. He told me that it looked like a small town had sprung up at the Port Authority in New Jersey because there were so many shipping containers just sitting there, not being taken to where he needed his to get to his warehouse so he and his family could unpack it. I mean, they work so hard, but he was just having trouble even doing that piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah. Customs had to make sure everything was, many packages had to be opened before they got to the warehouses. And
So was that for COVID? They were looking for like COVID stuff, or why I can understand the slowdown from the factories, but why at the customs?
well, there was so much backed up, and you have to remember, during a time like this, there's a lot of fraud, and people will try to get stuff, across the water. So you got to make sure everything is on the up and up, which also costs people a lot more money to ship. So we were all backed up. Like Kevin said, it was a whole Port Authority was backed up. The shipping portals here in New Jersey were backed up. It was just insane, and it's continuously happening. So it's important to figure out if you can ship freight with another company too. So we want to limit, extra freight that's going out unnecessarily. Try to combine freight. I don't know if this is foreign to people I'm talking to, but if you can combine your freight, your shipment with other entrepreneurs who have products, you're better off too. Minimizing the shipping and minimizing your cost.
What about like shipping into Canada and then driving it into the US? Is that too expensive, or are they having the same issues, or, Mexico, or, some other strategy like that?
That's a good question, Richard. I don't know about the shipping to Canada. I don't know about that, but that's probably something I can pose to one of my manufacturers. I have had merchandise shipped from Mexico. It was also paused because the COVID rate was much higher there at one point. So they paused and were letting anything out. Nothing was leaving Mexico at one point. But what I'm doing for many items that are smaller is I'm having them flown,
Right.
which is an easier way of doing things. Maybe a little bit more cost effective, believe it or not now.
Really?
Shipping on the water is exorbitant. Yes.
Wow, that's a flip flop from a
Yeah.
couple of years ago, because it was so much cheaper to ship stuff by boat. And now you're saying shipping it by air is cheaper, which gets it there a lot faster too, right?
Yes, for certain items, yes. But yeah, I was shocked. Recently, my manufacturer said, we'll fly this in. And we weighted the pros and cons, the finances, and it was a lot cheaper to fly it in.
Well, I guess, yeah, especially if you factor in the time at the dock, right? I mean, that is lost time to market, which
correct.
Costs everybody money, right? So that sounds like a great option for those kinds of products that can be shipped that way, for sure.
So can we talk about funding a little bit? So I know that some people get funding to manufacture what they're doing, and there's different places to get it. So how do you help people find the money to manufacture? Where do they get it from?
So a lot of my clients will take out small business loans if they have, if they have their act together. That's not nice. So if you're doing business the way you're
screwed enough, right?
Meaning paying off your debt, not having personal credit cards, things like that. Being able to purchase everything through your business account, right? So opening a doing business as account, or getting an LLC and starting to put money in your personal checking account and showing efforts to purchase and sell from your account. You can sometimes get a small business loan. Okay, small business loan, low interest, etc.
And what is the value of that? Can you get like $5,000, $10,000? How much money is available?
Yeah, it depends on your credit. It really depends on your own personal credit score. They're not giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of my clients just got $50,000. And there are also grants available depending upon what you're selling, what you're creating. Right. If you're creating something for COVID, I think you know this also. In this environment, if you're developing something for your community, something for COVID, chances are there are grants out there available to help you out. Crowdfunding is another way. Speaking with people, we had a lady on our show last week, helping people with crowdfunding, finding ways to do some crowdfunding. People want to help you. If you have the passion and the real desire and the purpose of, to help other people, there are people who are going to want to help you. So crowdfunding is great, checking out grants, and just really doing your due diligence, because money is there. Money is definitely there.
So would you suggest that people use factoring, and can you explain a little bit about what that is and how it works? Because I think that when you try to get money through factoring, they take a pretty big chunk, right?
I'm not sure about how factoring goes. I can't answer that with full knowledge, so I can't address it. And if you're talking about, some people get crowdfunding or money without having to pay it back. Okay,
Well,
so
the factoring is simply taking a PO, or you have an order and you from a customer, you take it to the bank and they give you the money to produce the stuff and they charge you a fee for that. And but
yes,
usually it's more established companies that use that, and it's less available to entrepreneurs. So
a purchase order does help. I have to say, a purchase order does help. For example, when I have clients who are my QVC clients, sometimes it's a lot of merchandise you need, and everybody doesn't have $40,000 sitting in their bank, right? At least not for products.
Right.
So they can take their purchase order, again, take it to their bank, but showing that they're doing business, having your LLC in place and all of your corporate papers in place, and understanding the way QVC works and just understanding the value of your product, you may get money from a bank based upon your purchase order.
So to go back to crowdfunding for just a minute. So are your clients pre-selling their items through their crowdfunding campaign? So is it kind of like a pre-ordering service?
For some people, yes. And there are different crowdfunding campaigns. I don't know all of them, but there are some campaigns where you can pre-sell, they can pre-order. I do have to say that you have to be proven though. You know, there's so much fraud again out there that people are saying, I'm selling product on Amazon, shipping, pretending to ship merchandise, and some folks never get it. So now they're very, very tight with their, they're making sure that you could provide inventory that you're saying you're going to provide. So you're not going to get paid necessarily for the funding. So it's a double-edged sword. You don't always get paid for the funding, but these people are promising to pay you when they get their merchandise.
So I like two things that you said. One is getting all the formalities of the bank account and the LLC set up. I think that's kind of seems like a kind of unnecessary chore sometimes to some entrepreneurs, because they feel like, well, why do I need to do this? Let's see how it goes first, and I'll go back and do it later. But it really helps a lot in giving your startup credibility. And so it is something that you should consider doing relatively early on once you've made a commitment to going forward with the project. But the other thing I wanted to point out is there seems to be sort of a general theme here that at least in some businesses, the incidences of fraud from your perspective, seem to be going up because of the COVID, that there's so many distractions. And, you know, is that a true statement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you've seen what's going on social media, and I don't want to call that any specific platform, but you know, bank accounts are open. Your whole life is open to everyone. You know, where we have so many different apps where all you have to do is, you know, put your phone number in and all your information is there. So it makes it easier for people who are looking to extort. It's easy. Well, I don't know how they do it. These people have these kinds of brains, but it's easy to take your identity, take all of your information and you know, pretend you're selling products and take money. Take money from people. And that's happening a lot. My sister works for a bank. She's, you know, director of marketing for some bank in Texas, and it's happening all the time.
Wow. That, I mean, and it's really, you try to be careful with those things, but after a while, you know, they're asking for my social security number on just about everything now. I'm like, why do why does Zoom need my social security number? You know, not that Zoom is asking for it, but I mean, that's an extreme example. But
I think the moral of the story here is, yeah, you can go find somebody who says they do what Lisa does or whatever, or maybe part of it. If you don't know that they're a real person actually doing that and have success stories and histories with people, you can get ripped off in this business so easily. So that's why we refer a lot of clients to Lisa, because we know she's not going to steal from them. You have to be so careful who you work with.
And I want to go back to the sourcing and the manufacturing. Even there, you know, if you're doing sourcing, looking for manufacturer, you need to know that this company actually exists. You know, it's hard to know. We're on the other side of the world in many cases. And so you have to do your due diligence if you're doing this on your own. Make sure that they can prove to you their actual manufacturing plant, that they don't just have 2 sewing machines in a back bedroom, that they can provide proof, documentation, testing, there's a plethora of things that you could ask them for when you're doing your own sourcing, because it's the time, and you're giving manufacturers 50% of whatever you're manufacturing. So you have to trust and believe that they're going to be able to provide you with money, the inventory that you're paying for.
Well, I've heard in the past that you should actually try to go visit their factory in person, no matter where they are. And if you can't do that, then you need a representative from the US to go do that for you, because like
or
you
a
said,
representative in China, if you have
you
a
can trust.
trusted agent there who can
Right.
verify it for you. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I think that makes makes absolutely perfect sense.
Well, have you heard of smishing now?
No.
Fishing?
It's
Is
brand
that a
new.
dance?
It sounds like it,
I do
Richard.
the smish.
Yeah, people are sending malicious text messages now. SMS is another word for text, right? To try to steal the information from your phone and to try to get you to enter information and stuff. Because now I'm getting text messages with "you owe us, pay here," and I never click those anyway, because I would never pay through a text. But yeah, they're smishing now, trying to get your information and your money through text messages.
Well, that's a lesson for us all. Don't be smished. Unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our no smishing, and we are coming to the end of the segment. But as always, Lisa, a wealth of knowledge and great information. Thank you so much. I hope you'll stay with us for the rest of the show. And
for the long haul.
all right.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And we'll be right back after this.